Hey guys, welcome to another installment of the Academy, and thanks for watching. Today I have a little bit of a different unboxing for you. I present China-Burma-India, The Lost Theater. This is a product I did not have on my radar at all. I didn't even honestly know it existed, but I bought a small lot of old Critical Hit modules off of the Facebook Consim group. And the gentleman's name was Brett Avant, I believe. And Avance. And unbeknownst to me, he's part of the St. Louis ASL Club. And they produced this 10 years ago. It says 2015 on it. And anyway, he threw in a copy of it into the lot of, I don't know, a few old Critical Hit modules that I bought because I like the old Critical Hit with the better fold out maps. And he just threw this in there and included it for free, which is great. And it was a nice surprise for me because I didn't know this was an actual product. And then when I got it, I looked through it and I'm like, whoa, this is very nice historical magazine done by an ASL club. And it says part one, Japanese invade December 41, May 42, China-Burma-India. And I went to their website wondering if there was a part two. I don't see any part two. It's been 10 years since this came out. But if you're curious about this, I assume they still sell it because this is a brand new copy that was included. So I assume they still have it for sale on their website down here, Jagersoft Games or JagersoftGames.com. And I went there, and I think this is the only thing they have listed on the site that you can buy. Um, so after I'm done with this, I don't know how much it costs because he threw it in for free. I have no idea what it would cost. But if you're interested in it, go check out the website and maybe order a copy because I think it's a very cool, very well done product. And I'll go through it here and show you what's in it. Okay. So the high level contents are a mini campaign game with three interconnected scenarios, a historical map, not a huge map, a nice size, reasonably sized historical map, and 12 scenarios on separate cardstock, articles, photos, and much more. And I believe part of the 12 scenarios are the three campaign game scenarios that you can play individually. There's like two versions of it within this. There's campaign game versions, which are interconnected that allow you to buy, I believe, buy units. And then there are three separate scenarios, probably with same or similar victory conditions, same part of the map that you can play completely separate. And I'll go over those here shortly. Okay, but let's go through the article. Let me pull this out. Let's go through the magazine real quick. I need to quit using the term real quick because that doesn't seem to correlate with what I actually do. It seems to take much longer than real quick, but let's go through it anyway. So there appears to be 12-ish articles. Like I said, the St. Louis ASL Club historical magazine. The brains behind the outfit, Jim Burris, and Brett Avance is the one that I bought the Critical Hit stuff and threw this in as well. And I assume members of the playtesters, members of the club, maybe some people outside of the club as well. So let's go through the articles. Introduction to the China-Burma-India Theater of War. Obviously, these are all PTO scenarios. It's going to be, Japanese versus British or British Commonwealth, and Japanese versus Chinese for the most part. Okay, so this is purely a PTO magazine. If you love PTO, after me having this for a while and going through it, I suggest you check it out if you didn't know it existed, like I did. If you're not a fan of PTO, I always recommend that people get into it because it really opens up ASL, and how the game feels and plays beyond kind of the bone stock ETO, West Front, East Front type of play, or even Mediterranean. Mediterranean's basically ETO still. There may be some step terrain, but the PTO feels completely different with the terrain and the way concealment and hip works, and the Japanese plays really different, and it's a kind of a breath of fresh air if you want a change of playing the same, same mechanics and same tactics over and over in ETO. Give PTO a try. It really changes it up and opens up the game. It's really fun. Okay. So this is basically just a short summary of the theater CBI Theater of War. They have some helpful PTO reminder blocks in here, kind of interspersed. Duel for Burma, the Japanese Type 95 Hago versus the M3 Stuart. Two common tanks, tin can tanks, that are prevalent in the theater, and they are part of quite a few of the orders of battle in the scenarios that are contained in here. Both I assume, both the American M3, well, it's a Lend-Lease M3 Stuart. It's going to be British, but it's basically the American version of the M3 Stuart, of the M3. So it goes through and it just talks about each of the AFVs, how they compare, and how they go toe to toe with each other. Fairly long article on two tanks here. Japanese order of battle during the 42 invasion and occupation by Brett. So it goes through structure of a Japanese rifle company, light tank company, machine gun company. For people who are really into the historical organization of military units. Air power in CBI, China-Burma-India. We can look at the scenarios when we go through it. I don't recall the amount of air support there that is in some of the scenarios, but clearly there must be some air support. Thus the article about air support. And a lot of these articles look to be more historical in nature than tactics, especially the ones that I've highlighted here so far. Air power in ASL, Q&A for CBI. This is more, I guess, tactical air support as opposed to historical, the previous article. Yep, lots of tactical on how air support works, especially in CBI or PTO. Some kind of a little historical insert here about Type 92 infantry gun, Japanese. PTO reminders, lists of 23 different reminders when playing PTO. Ad for the two half squads. Summary of the, must be 2014 St. Louis ASL tournament, because this is about 10 years old, this magazine. Gurkha fighters, there must be Gurkhas in this. I love playing the Gurkhas. Rookie's take on PTO, probably a good introduction article to PTO for people who haven't played it. Gives you a flavor of what you can expect when playing in the PTO. Another little historical thing about the Japanese knee mortar. Mortars, light mortars for me are kind of a hit and miss. I still don't really play them very well, but the Japanese knee mortar is one of the more useful mortars in the game because of all the ammo, special ammo it has. It's got illuminating round, smoke, white phosphorus within pretty short ranges, and of course it's got 50 millimeter HE as well. A lot of the other light mortars, like the American light mortar, I'm trying to recall, maybe it's a German light mortar, it has no special ammo. It just fires, HE, low caliber HE. And about the only time you can get any kind of result is if you're firing on something in a woods, unless you roll really well. These are pretty versatile. It's 4 portage points for these little knee mortars, but it's because you're lugging around so many different types of ammo. But they are useful. It's funny that you would think that maybe if you lose your ammo capability, maybe the portage point should go down. Never thought. I just thought of that. What if you lose all of this ammo? You lose smoke, you lose white phosphorus. Should you still have to pay 4 portage points to lug it around? I don't know. That was a shower thought I just had. And there's also bibliography interspersed all throughout. Article on the invasion of Burma. Here, another historical article, fairly lengthy. Okay, this must be this is the beginning of the historical, the Burma minigame. A roadblock at Mithwefok. Say that 10 times fast. And that's what the map reflects. I think there's a miniature version of the map here in the back. So it talks about special scenario rules, campaign victory conditions, and some rules. Here are the Commonwealth tables for different groups and campaign game scenario for Commonwealth and Japanese. Another historical insert for the Type 95. Okay, here these are produced. They're in here twice. There are actually card sheets for these, which I'll show, and then they're also embedded in the magazine. Maybe because they had room, they just put them in the back here. But these are the campaign game versions of the interconnected 3 scenarios: campaign game 1, 2, and 3. And you can see here, you come with some base units, and then you can basically select units from these tables back here that I just showed. While the standalone scenarios, which I'll show, have all the order of battle completely laid out. And I don't think they're interconnected in any way. So here is the map. Let's check in the back here. 12 tactical scenarios. STL1 are these summaries? Where are the scenarios at here? STL1. Yeah, STL1. So these are kind of just description of the scenarios that are in here. Or maybe it's just the reword. Let's see. No, it's just a different description of each of the scenarios, and I'll show you that shortly. Okay, let's go back to the map. Here is the miniature version of the map. Not too big, very reasonably sized. Clearly, it's all PTO. So you're looking at jungles, palm trees, kunai, rice paddies, and swamps. Swamps are marsh. I always get between PTO and ETO terrain. I can never remember which is which. Swamp, marsh, swamp, and bamboo. Maybe somewhere. There's any brush, or is this brush? This may be bamboo. Maybe this is brush. It's kind of small. It's hard for me to see. And you got some huts in here and a stream, some streams. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is bamboo. This stuff's bamboo. This is marsh or swamp here. And you have a rail line going through it as well, and a couple little villages. And this is what all the campaign game scenarios take place in, and probably maybe a handful of the standalone scenarios. We'll get to those here. And here's a description of it. Okay, so that's the magazine. I think it's 60 pages, including front and back. Not too bad. You've already seen the map, the miniature version of the map. Let's go through the scenarios, but I'll show the map at the very end, the large version of the map. So here is the here is the Trouble at Milepost 21. This is the standalone, or sorry, 27. This is a standalone scenario of the campaign game 1. If you want to play it just by itself, it takes place on half the map. Now, if you want to play the campaign game version, you can either look at what was in the magazine or it's also right here. Trouble at Milepost 27, campaign game 1 scenario. Okay. And the first few are like that. Here's campaign game. See, clear. Oh, here's scenario 2, which should be campaign game. Yeah, 2, scenario 2, standalone, the campaign game version. Then there's clear the road to Prom, campaign game 3, or standalone scenario 2. All the units or buy units off the select groups off of the tables. And then we get it, and then the rules on how they interconnect are in that article towards the end of the magazine, the campaign game versions of the scenarios. And then we get into just the standalone scenarios. And you can see the campaign game 3 scenario takes place on the whole map. Scenario 1, you scratch my back. There are some really wild board setups in these scenarios, which you'll see here in a minute. I think this is all Commonwealth Japanese, and these are in other areas of China, Burma, India. The campaign game scenarios take place in Burma, in Mithwifok, Burma, and these take place in various other places of the CBI theater. This one is Japanese Chinese. Obviously, PTO terrain, some pretty gnarly terrain in these scenarios. Scenario 2, nothing ventured, Japanese British, also in Burma, all infantry here. It isn't over, also in Burma. Basically, one board or one Fortenberry size board, roughly. Looks like all infantry. Don't count your chickens. Got 4 boards, but you're using half of 2 and a sliver of 2 others, which is interesting. Also, all infantry in Burma. Put that in your pipe. In Burma, infantry, but it's got, looks like 4 trucks as well on one board. British, Japanese. Curious if there's any night scenarios. I don't see any yet. Scenario 6, rising tide. Got a Fortenberry board and 2 regular boards. Big hill. Got some foxholes, artillery, and it's got a radio, so there's got to be some kind of off-board artillery. Yeah, 75 millimeter OBA with normal ammo, HE only. If wishers were horses, okay, this is a gnarly board setup. Fairly easy to do when you're using physical boards. To set this up in Vassal probably requires some kind of tutorial because it is not obvious how you set up something like this in Vassal, because you have to use, I believe, the filler boards or the spacer boards, which are basically white, so they don't show up, but they allow you to line things up correctly. So not obvious how to set this up in Vassal if you're going to play in Vassal. This has some fortifications, guns, just guns, no vehicles. Not a lot of vehicles really. Well, other than the campaign game scenarios, but in the regular scenarios, I haven't seen any. Scenario 8, Scenario 9, or Scenario 7. These are a little jumbled up. Take a long walk. Roadblock, but no vehicles. 1 infantry gun. 2 boards. This is in Burma. Maybe all of these, maybe it's called the CBI theater. Maybe all of these are in Burma from the look of it. Here we have, you can't have your cake. It's got 1 carrier and a truck, and that's it, and some guns. Revenge is a dish, best served cold. What Shakespeare play is that from? That's a quiz. No looking it up on Google. Post the answer below. All infantry here, half board. Another gnarly setup. Here's your hat. We have Stuarts. Here we have some light tanks here. Type 95s and some Stuarts and a carrier. Yep, that's in Burma as well. And what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. Friedrich Nietzsche. Burma, 6 turns. This is Chinese Commonwealth versus Japanese with 1 Stuart and a couple guns. So not other than maybe the campaign game scenarios, which has a lot of stuff. The regular scenarios look pretty reasonable from PTO point of view. There's not a lot of armor generally in PTO anyway, but it's mostly infantry with some mortars and an occasional gun like a artillery or anti-tank gun. But look fairly reasonable scenarios that I like to try at some point because I like PTO, and I haven't played it. I haven't played a PTO scenario in a while. All right, let's do one last look at the map, the big map, as much as I can show on here. Maybe I can get most of it because it's not too big of a map. Nah, I'll go sideways. Yep. It's about, the playing area is probably, well, I got my trusty engineer's ruler here. It measures in inches in decimal, not fractions. So, I can measure 4.1 inches instead of 4 1/8, which is not 4.1, but it's probably 2 by 2 feet, roughly 24 by 24, give or take an inch here or there. So not overly huge. No hills at all. All you have to worry about really is some of the other PTO terrain. And PTO terrain is generally fairly easy. This might be light jungle because it's a historical map, and the jungle doesn't extend to the hex edge. Like dense jungle is inherent terrain, so it's supposed to extend directly to the the hex edge. Maybe this is all light jungle. I'd have to read through the article that talks about the campaign game part, which probably has some map detail. So this might be light jungle. Palm trees are just orchards. Same thing. Rice paddies. I haven't played with rice paddies ever. Huts are pretty simple. Kunai, easy. Bamboo sucks. Just stay out of it. That's my recommendation. Yeah, the map is also reasonably sized, not crazy terrain on it. So yeah, this looks very cool. It looks very fun, and I have no idea how much it costs. Maybe I'll, if I remember to do it, I will look it up and maybe post how much it costs here and at the beginning of the video, because again, I received this for free unbeknownst. Many thanks to Brett for throwing that into the stuff that I bought from him. And yeah, this was something that was not on my radar, was not expecting it, didn't know it existed. So very cool, very well done for basically a club type product. And I'm impressed. I even showed it to my wife, who's not into ASL, but she's into printing and that kind of production, that kind of thing. And she's like, wow, they did a really good job on this. And I agree. It's a phenomenal job for a club project. So if you're interested in PTO and you don't know about this, and it's within your price range, yeah, give it a shot. Order it. Hopefully they still have some available. I have no idea. Contact them on their website. Okay. That's it for China-Burma-India Lost Theater from the St. Louis ASL Club, and I'll see you in the next video. Academy out.
Get to the chopper!
If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw, thanks for watching, and let me know how I can do better. See you in the next video.